Solid projections. 3 steps and a key tip. Now, whether one is looking to sell their business, looking to find capital for growth, for hiring, for acquisitions itself, or whatever the reason may be, solid projections, reliable projections are a key component to any discussion with an outside acquirer or capital provider. So the first component of strong projections are unit economics. And what we mean by this is don't just say revenue is going to grow from X to Y over this period of time, but instead say it is the sale, the provision of services, the offering, whatever it may be, but on a unit basis. We're going to sell 25 more automobiles. We're going to sell 50 more widget manufacturing machines. We're going to sell 800 more clients of this particular service. But whatever it is, the projections from a revenue perspective in particular are far more believable if they are driven by unit economics, which can ultimately be boiled back towards sales efforts and inputs, calls, meetings, things of that nature. The second step is understanding the expenses. So it's one thing to say, yes, we're going to sell 10 more widgets, and expenses are going to stay the same. And nobody will believe you, right? And so it very well may be the case, and that's the whole idea of operating leverage, that operating expenses are not going to increase as further revenue grows, but there will be a cost of goods sold relative to the incremental revenue. And therefore, even if you say, look, there's going to be a COGS element. So if we're going to sell 10 new clients, we're going to have 20% delivery cost for those services to those clients, leaving 80% of it left over. And it's our belief that we have the operating infrastructure to not incur any more operating expenses until we sell 100 more, whatever that next hurdle is. If you can illustrate that in a convincing way, well, then it's understandable and believable. But you must understand and must delineate the expense side of the projections as well. So revenues are going to grow from X to Y. Expenses are going to grow from A to B. This is how much of it's going to be COGS on a gross basis. And relative to operating expenses, this is how much operating leverage we believe is in there and how much expenses we're going to incur on an incremental basis. And lastly, as we say in all of our videos, it boils down to the fundamentals. It boils down to EBITDA. And so that is, based on what the revenues are going to be, based on what the expenses are going to be, what does that mean in terms of profit? Right? What does that mean in terms of pre-tax profit and at different hurdles, right? If we're talking about a 3-year horizon, don't just show point A and point B, show 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. In whatever increments, the shorter the increment that you can confidently project these things, you should. You shouldn't be more confident, right? Don't show monthly if the monthly is going to be lumpy. In that case, maybe it is quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. But the point being is show how all of these revenue on a per unit basis, how all of the COGS and operating expense projections boil down to profit. It's a much clearer picture for whoever you're having the conversation with. And lastly, the tip for any process, don't miss projections during the deal. There is nothing that takes away confidence in a company more than when projections are being made that as the deal is happening, as either diligence or the evaluation of the company is taking place, you're missing the projections. And so you don't want to be overly conservative in the sense that you're underselling the upward trajectory of the business, but at the same time, you don't want to just be showing the moonshot scenario where you're going to miss it. And so from our perspective, what we like to show during and kind of into a transaction is, here's our baseline projections, this is what we think we're going to do, and then here is kind of an upside scenario that if A, B, and C happen, we're going to accomplish. And therefore, you're managing expectations appropriately while still bringing some light to the upside scenario. So that's the thought for today. Solid projections. The 3 steps to that are unit economics on the revenues, understanding operating expenses, boiling everything down to profit. With the key takeaway being, do not miss projections, particularly the baseline projections during the transaction period. Hope the week continues to go well for everyone. God bless. See everyone next time.